If you like giving up, you can't. Your future needs you and your kids need you. This episode today is for the moments when you're running on empty, when your legal battles feel endless, and when you start to worry or wonder if it's even worth it. We're here to remind you today that it is worth it because the choices you make now will shape your future and your children's future. Welcome, Mum.
Hello, Laura. Hello, everyone.
So today, everybody, we're going to be going through some ways to keep yourself from giving up and some ways to maybe ease the load a little bit as you go through this, because let's face it, there are multiple times I think anyone going through the divorce process wants to just give up at some point or another.
Yeah, we get it. We certainly get it. So This is not a lecture for you. It's more of a little pep talk to help you keep going.
And it's going to have some little legal tips and strategies to help you as well. So stay tuned. Reminder, though, that there may be discussions of family violence. So if you feel triggered by that, please call 13 11 14 Lifeline or call 1-800-RESPECT. Let's get to the jingle. Let's get started.
Hello, I'm Laura Furiosi, divorced mother of 3, and I'm here with my mother, Lynette Galvin, with 35 years experience in family law. You're listening to the Divorce Course podcast. Through our candid discussions, we hope to help you through your divorce or de facto separation. We will be answering the most commonly asked questions and covering the stages and steps that you will face on your way to freedom.
So today we're going to take people through 5 things that they can do instead of giving up when they feel like they've run out of energy, they've got nothing left, because I'm sure you were at some point in your life when you were going through your divorce where, you know, you're looking after the kids, you're trying to get enough money for the groceries, you're trying to do your job. And then on top of that, you're supposed to be going to mediations, discussing how you feel about things, going through separation. And I guess people do many times go, what's the point? Is this worth it? Wouldn't it be better if I just gave up?
Yes, I remember specific times, but none of my plans ever actually included me sitting on the steps at my sister's house crying my eyes out. But you do have to have time for some of that, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace about that.
But it doesn't mean give up.
No, it just means take a moment if you can. If you've got deadlines and things, that's a different story. I remember being at a conference once and we had some judges up at the front and we were training barristers and they talked about being ready for court. And one of the young barristers said, what if we don't get it ready? What if we have a late night and we're not ready? And everyone, including all the barristers in the room, just looked at him. And one of the judges said, that is not an option. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not an option to give up because, and we have other episodes where we talk about the reason why not to give up, but these are 5 ways to help yourself not give up. 5 things you can do instead of giving up. So if that's you, if you're just done or if you're getting close to done, this helps you because, you know, would you want your best friend to give up? Would you want your child to give up? So these are the options here. And of course, you know, if you are listening to this, you probably are really emotionally drained as well. So please remember you can talk to Lifeline and you can text them, you can message them and get some support that way as well. But let's look at the first thing they can try to do, Mum.
Okay.
And I tried this strategy and it's just take it one step at a time. Like, I know that sounds so simple and you guys are probably like, I'm hanging up on this podcast. You guys are out. But just hear me out. Hear me out. So you've got this massive problem, right? You've got to get your property settlement. You've got to get your custody. Maybe you're in court. Maybe you're going to mediation. Maybe all you're doing is writing letters to each other. But it does seem like a huge mountain.
You're probably moving house as well, Laura.
Yes. But if you take it one step at a time, it's not so overwhelming. So, you know, we're not looking at sorting out your whole settlement. Just look at today as finding the bank statements you need to share with your ex for disclosure.
Or finding 5 of them, or just working out where they are.
Yeah.
So it's just take a little baby step and you'll find the momentum will carry you through.
Yeah. I think if you can think back to when you were in high school and you had your senior assignments or your exams, or if you went to uni and you had your assessment tasks, thinking about all of them all at once would give you a panic attack. But if you broke it down into little steps, what do I need to do step by step? And then just say, okay, set my little self a goal. I'm going to do this step today and that's it. And then I give myself permission to rest, because you don't want to be sitting down, finally getting to do something you enjoy, thinking, oh, I should be doing disclosure, or oh, I should be writing my consent orders. So break it down into little steps. If you have the divorce course, DIY Divorce Blueprint, we break it down into little steps for you.
Yes.
Just commit to doing one lesson a week, one lesson a day. It depends how much energy you've got left, but breaking it down into little steps is legit the best way forward for that kind of stuff.
And it really has to be little steps, because you might have prepare my consent orders as your job for today, 3 hours, a block of chocolates and a pot of tea. Okay. But you may take an hour to actually find the proper format. If you're not on our course, you might be trawling through the Family Court website and trying to find the actual documents. So you do, like you said, Laura, your first step is to work out what you need, or it might even be your first step is to find the document on the website that tells you what you need. Mm-hmm. Then you can move it on from there. But you won't panic as much if you've got it plotted for the next week or two, or however long you've got. As long as you do that little steps each day that you've set yourself, you will end up at the end. And you don't do your best work when you rush.
No. All right. So that's taking it one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's listening today and they haven't sat down and done a little plan or broken it down into bite-sized chunks of things you can do once a day for an hour, or things you can do for 5 hours on the weekend, this is your sign to do that. And it is going to take some of that overwhelm away. The next tip I'm going to give you is you have to give yourself permission to pause. Like you said, Mum, sometimes you do need to sit on your sister's steps and cry. Yeah. Pausing isn't quitting. It's a survival strategy.
There's times when I could procrastinate for Australia when I had things done. And this is what fixed me. Can you see it? It's a little stove timer. And I can do anything for 25 minutes. And so I put it on my desk, and I don't use it much anymore. But when I was younger, that was my constant companion. So, yeah, you can pause. At the end of the 25 with this timer, you have to take a 5-minute break. That's the Pomodoro method.
Yes. Or if you need a bigger pause, if you're just completely drained, you are done, you want to quit, you have no mental capacity anymore to do anything, then maybe consider asking for an extension or adjournment. Mum, what kind of things can people do if they just need to put the brakes on for a bit without quitting?
Without quitting. Well, the court is not usually very comfortable with adjournments. They used to be, but now they deliberately want to keep the pressure on people because they know that getting through it is the best way to set you free. And of course, they've got their workload they're managing. But sometimes you do need an adjournment. I think if you are thinking of things that come up like the family report is late, the disclosure hasn't happened, you didn't get to mediation, it was cancelled, or you went to mediation but you're going to have another one, they may be times where you could ask the court for an adjournment. If you're not in court and somebody's written to you and given you a deadline, we want your answer by Tuesday, and it's too soon for you, write back and say, look, that's too soon for me. It's only 7 days, 5 days, whatever. I will have the answer for you in by this date. And so you can, when it's just the two of you back and forth, you don't have to run to their crazy timetables. But don't just ignore their letter. You need to ask them or tell them that you will do it and here's the date. So that if ever they show the court later on, they go, oh, they didn't answer the letter. And you've got that. No, I did answer the letter and I got the material to them on that date.
So if you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I've got this deadline. They've given me 2 weeks deadline. I'm just going to give in. I'm just going to sign whatever they give me. I'm just quitting. I give up. The other option is, can I please have some more time? Can I please have 2 extra weeks to get all the documents together? Can I please have a week to find a lawyer? We hear it a lot. There's a lot of people asking, a lot of people asking, do I have to respond to this letter? Because so many people are writing these demanding letters with deadlines.
And sending them at 5 to 5 on Friday.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know that you have to ask. If someone's put a deadline on you, you're not obliged. You can write back and say, look, thank you for the letter. I note the deadline. However, that doesn't work for me. I need more time. And so I'll answer you on this date. So you don't have to ask them for the permission, because if you've got a particularly awful ex-partner or particularly aggressive lawyer, they'll go, no. So you tell them, that's too soon for me, but I will have it by this date.
Yes.
And there's nothing much they can do about that, as long as it's not court-ordered.
Yeah. So maybe think about that. Are you being pressured by your ex? Are they trying to make you give up? Are they trying to make you panic and collapse under workload? Like I've heard of exes that do this when there's all sorts of dramas going on with the kids maybe, and that's when they put the pressure on because they know that's when you're at your weakest. Mm-hmm. So really remind yourself, putting a pause isn't quitting. It's just giving you some breathing space to have a bit of a break to get started again. We have a great episode on how to fix if everything's spinning out of control, and we talk through all these other strategies you can use to get that pause. So go and listen to that episode if you think your best strategy of not quitting is just getting the pause button. Don't get stuck into procrastinating though. This is just to give yourself a break and to slow things down a bit so you don't give up. So the next thing I do, and I do this with when I was coaching people in business, this is one of the best strategies I think that helped me in business, but also helped me in divorce, and Mum probably helped you, is look at where you've come from. We get emails saying, this is taking forever. I haven't heard back from my ex. It's been 2 weeks, or I haven't heard from my lawyer, or if they're going to court, it's not for another 6 months. But what you need to start doing is looking how far you've already come. So look at the challenges you've survived. So if that's you, have a think about it today. What have you already overcome? And the stuff that you've already overcome is proof to you that you will be able to handle what's next. So don't give up.
Yep. That's a really good point, Laura. And you have always been good at managing your time. I've always been rubbish at managing my time until I sort of use these strategies. But I think sometimes divorce and separation, it does take a long time because it's not easy, but it's worth it. You know, if you've had to leave a situation for the sake of yourself, or the children, then it's worth it. And when you think what you're actually doing, like some people have been married 20, 25 years, and they're unpicking all of that. So you can't really expect it to happen instantly. But it's just unfortunate that sometimes the other person, like you say, when you're vulnerable, will start giving you these deadlines just to weigh you down, or maybe as a strategy for you to give up and hand over whatever it is they want.
So have a think, what have you already done? And one thing I do is I have a done list. So if I write a to-do list, I also write a done list. Things that I haven't even written down to do, I go, well, I've already done this, and I've already done this, and I've already done this. Tick, tick, tick. You get the dopamine hit. Yes. And you can see, oh my goodness. So if you've already had mediation, you've done it. If you've already told your ex that you're leaving, that's something you've done. And that's a biggie. You may have filed documents, you may have created a draft parenting plan, you may have done your financial disclosure. Look at what you've done and look how far you've come.
Yes.
And that is a good reason not to give up, because you can keep going because you've done it. You've done stuff already.
I think a timeline, it always seems easier, I think, for lawyers who know the process. This first, then that, then that. So we know exactly how far along the continuum to settlement or hearing you are. And I think it's important for you, those people who are listening to the podcast, to also work that out. Work out where you are along the line of the jobs you have to do.
That's so right. And Mum, that's why I wrote the course, because I just kept being led by the lawyers. Okay, we're doing this next. Okay, we're doing this next. Okay, we're doing this next. And I just kept thinking, when is this ever going to end?
Yes.
How much longer is this going to go for? And if you don't know it, it's a lot easier to give up. It's like if you're running a marathon, it's something you don't want to do. But if you're running a marathon, you're being forced because you're going through divorce. If you can see the finish line, or you at least know I've got 2 more markers to get past, you're probably more likely to run a bit faster. But if you've got no clue and you're exhausted, you're like, nah, I can't do this, I give up. So you're right. Having a timeline, having a look at where you're up to and where you've got to go can really help.
Yes, that's right.
The next thing I think people get stuck with, this is number 3, is your gut feeling, right? So I do feel some people get paired with lawyers maybe, or they've got support people who don't have the same values or the same understanding of where they want to go. And people feel like something's wrong. Their instinct's saying something's wrong, something's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. And so instead of looking at what you're thinking is wrong, you're just quitting. If you're not in line with your values and trusting your instincts, you can feel like you want to quit and you want to give up because it's not actually what you want.
Yes.
Do you think, Mum? Do you have clients that have that problem?
Well, I think so. And it is usually, I like people to trust their instincts. And when I have lawyers ringing me for advice and support, sometimes they ask me, how can I do this? And I say, well, you're probably asking the wrong question. You've got to ask, I know you can do that, but should you do it? Should you do this thing or not? And so unless you feel aligned, like someone who's got the same interest in the kids as you have, someone who is respectful even though you're separating, unless you've got someone like that on your team, there's an internal resistance, I think. So we have people a lot, don't we, on the course who realise their lawyers are not on the same page as them. You're all going to get through, no matter who you have to support you, because I've never heard of a case that never finished. But if you are also battling your internal gut instinct, that's a fight you don't need to have. So,
and, so we hear people who've signed consent orders that they didn't think was the right thing to do, but they've signed them and now they're trying to undo them, or they're panicking. And so that if you're not listening to your gut instinct, you're going to get led down a path you don't want to go. And that's when a lot of people quit. They go, well, what's the point in fighting? But if you're sticking to your values and you're sticking to your instincts, you're going to fight for it because you believe in it. Yeah. So I do feel that sometimes if your heart's not in it, if your instinct's not in it, if your values aren't aligned, things fall apart because it's not being truthful to yourself.
I mean, I had that experience when I was a law student with a lawyer who just didn't sit well with me. And family lawyers run the risk of getting very blasé about it and very matter-of-fact about it. But you can make orders and get orders and agree to things that you've got to live with, and they just close the file and they're on to the next case. So you are your advocate, and the values that you hold should be the underpinning of everything you do. So if it's grating with you what your lawyer's saying or doing, then stop that, realign, check in with yourself, find someone who does feel the same way as you do about different values. Yeah.
And use this as an opportunity to ask yourself, why are you pursuing this? Why are you doing, if it's kids, why are you doing it? What is it that you're doing it for? And most people's answer is going to be, it's for the kids.
In which case,
stick it on a sticker, stick it on your fridge, stick it on your computer, so that when you feel like giving up, you can remind yourself, I'm doing this for the kids. So you've got to bring yourself back to why you're doing it. And if it's for a really important reason, then you'll do it. And that's the same for your future. If you're doing this for your future, remind yourself, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for my future. Imagine talking to your future self and saying, look, I'm sorry, I had to give up because it was just all too much. What would your future self say to you? Where are they going to be living? How are they going to be feeling? And have a discussion with yourself without seeming like crazy. But, that will really help you to push through some of the hard times.
Yeah, I agree, Laura. That's really good.
Now, this last one, Mum, and I think this is really important for you to help explain the system, and you've touched on it already, but you're doing better than you think. And I want everyone to understand they're doing better than they think, because it's hard to see your progress when you're in the middle of it. We've already talked about how you should go and have a look at a timeline of what's happening and where. But court and family law and legal stuff, it feels like you're not getting anywhere. But from a lawyer's perspective, you're actually getting somewhere. So you actually are doing better than you think?
Yep, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that people feel disappointed in the court and lose faith in the process is when their ex is telling lies and you don't get to establish that they're telling lies. So people do kind of get away with things early on, and they say things and the court has to act cautiously, but their comeuppance will come and you will get an opportunity to cross-examine them. And what you're really doing with that person, they think they're doing it without any consequences. And so they're just going to give you so much to work with when you get to the final trial. And no two divorces are the same, but the process is really similar. You know how you have those grieving stages with denial and then upset or whatever those
bargaining.
stages. Yeah, bargaining. We have that as well in a divorce. And you have it when you leave. Or sometimes a person has it for a year before they leave. They're going through all the stages, and by the time they walk out the door, they're done. They've done all their stuff. But people are all at different stages. And that's why the process feels kind of clunky sometimes, because you're not both, well, we're done now. We're now going to do this. And then you might have one person saying, what the hell? You can't touch my super. And so I think that kind of thinking that it's all going to be lost and therefore you might as well settle for something less is a common feeling. I think people are able to be pragmatic and say, oh, well, with property, it's $1 here, $1 there. You can tweak that. But when it comes to your kids, you can't really. I think I see heroes, Laura. I see heroes and talk to heroes all through my career and now. They just don't give up, even though they're not really sure how well they're going.
I think there's a fair few heroes listening to us today who haven't given up yet. And they may be thinking about it, but they know they can't. I saw someone know, people say, to this person, you must be so strong. You did all of this. You got through all of this. And they say, well, I'm actually not. I just didn't have a choice. And sometimes when it comes to the heroes that are listening today, they probably don't have the choice.
No.
And I think it was important to mention that, Mum, that graph really of the person who's wanted to leave for a long time and they've gone through the emotions, they've gone through the bargaining and the grief, and they've finally got to a point where they're back on normal and they're level-headed and they're thinking straight enough. They tell their ex that they want to leave and then their ex starts that journey, but it might have taken if you were the leaver, it would have taken you like a year or 2 years. Sometimes it takes people 7 years to figure out through all of that. So you do have to understand that maybe while you think you're not doing great and this is all going to be a disaster, you might just need to give your ex some time to get there through their stages of grief as well.
Great. Yeah.
And I think it's hard to put yourself in the other person's shoes, but it is a really good idea because you know your ex better than anybody else. You know what your ex is capable of. You know what your ex is like normally. So once they are through these stages of grief and anger and denial and bargaining, they will come back to some sort of level of normal that you understood and knew, and then you can negotiate. And I guess that's why we talk about the divorce personality types.
I think, though, you don't have to wait for your ex to get their emotions under control, especially sometimes you can't wait for your ex, but it does help you understand why they're saying the things they are, why they're doing the things they do, and perhaps give them a little bit of, I guess, credit. Instead of saying, I never thought this person would do that. Perhaps in normal life, they would never have done that, but they're going through probably one of the biggest shocks of their life if they didn't see this coming. And so don't panic. You can get them through. I have to say, though, the court has not really taken into account people's emotions. So these pre-action procedures, very time sensitive, and they're meant to get both people through the court smoothly, even if one person isn't really ready for the whole separation thing. I think their focus is on the person who's started the process and wants to go through and get out the other side. Because, if you're so relieved and happy that you're out, your ex probably wasn't actually happy either. And when they get through the other side, they'll be relieved as well. Some people, I think, stay because they think the financial breakup will destroy them. And so they get locked in this dance. And it's usually the stronger and braver person, usually, who says, I'm not living my life this way. This is inauthentic to me. So I'm leaving. So, we can afford to give a little bit of grace to them.
If you are, however, going, I'm getting nowhere, you are doing better than you think, remind yourself that, because there's no straight line. Even though all cases, Mum say, run a similar way, they're all up and down and round and round. And if you're pulling your hair because your ex isn't there yet or hasn't responded, use that time to do some other things that you're going to have to do later, like get your paperwork together, prepare stuff for court if you're going to court, prepare stuff for mediation if you're going to have mediation at some point. Start thinking about things. Do your BATNA from our episode last week. Start doing stuff. So even though together you haven't moved forward to getting this sorted, at least you're moving yourself forward. So don't let them be back.
And I hate it. I hate it when people say it's a failed mediation because it's not. You had to have a mediation. It's a mediation you had to have. And you will have learned something about where they're coming from in the process. And you've ticked that box to allow you to ultimately move to court.
You can put that on your done list. And if you have had a mediation where you feel like it's failed, we've got a great episode on what you can do if your mediation doesn't go to plan. Now, Mum, the last thing I do want to touch on, you're invited to our free webinar. Whether you're stuck at the beginning of deciding to divorce or you're struggling to find your way through the legal jargon and fear of the unknown of the legal process, we are here to empower you to take control. Join us to learn what steps you can take, followed by a live Q&A where you get Lynn, my amazing mum, and family law accredited specialist to answer your questions. All you have to do is go to www.thedivorcecourse.com.au and click on Reserve My Seat. We'll see you there. Hurry, spaces are limited, so don't miss out. Register today. I want you all to think about taking it one step at a time. Are you breaking your stuff down manageably so that you're not completely overwhelmed and want to give up? Give yourself permission to pause. Is there some way you can slow some things down? Go and listen to our episode on if things are spinning out of control, because, there are things you can do to give yourself some time to pause, not quit. Look at where you've come from, have a timeline, write down what you've already done, have that done list, and look at your timeline and trust your instincts. Make sure that's all aligning. Otherwise, you may quit because you're not really following what it is you actually want. And remind yourself you're doing better than you think, okay? And if your ex is not ready yet, you can still be doing stuff as you go while you're waiting for them to catch up. But the last thing I do want to talk about, I don't know the answer, but I want to acknowledge it, is there will be a lot of people out there who are going through post-separation abuse.
Yes.
And they want to quit because it's never going to end. They think this is never, ever going to end. And I can understand why people want to just go, well, fine, they can just have whatever they want. I'm done. Because they've been dragged through courts or mediations or legal letters forever. What do you say to them, Mum?
I say that post-separation abuse is abuse because of the impact it has on you, right? And so one of the things you can do is kind of build some fences around this post-separation abuse. And we've talked about it, about putting a time block where you're going to read all the emails once a week, let the other person know. You can send those, you're sending all these emails. You should know I'm only going to read them once a week, so don't send anything urgent. If you've got your orders, if the case is done and dusted, if you are sure that what they're doing is really irrelevant and they can't take you back to court and they can't complain, then just stop answering, stop reading. Post-separation abuse is very recently understood. It wasn't really thought of as a thing before. And now the court is aware of it. And so now we can talk to people about it. So it's going to come down to how much you can just say, look, you know what? That's nothing to do with me anymore. In your box, chocolate, and get a new phone. Put the other phone in a box. I don't know. But build your barriers.
So basically what you're saying is it may not ever quit. They may continue to try and harass you through post-separation abuse. But once you have your final orders, once you have sorted everything legally, unless they manage to somehow take you back to court, the other stuff, the co-parenting dramas and the things that they may try and cause, you don't have to take it on board and that's it. Look, that's us saying it, but you're living it, right?
Yeah.
So we have some good episodes on setting boundaries. So if you're feeling like quitting because your ex is just non-stop relentless, abusing or harassing you to the extent where you just want to shut down, which is their plan, go and listen to our 10 essential boundaries for divorce. And like Mum said, set yourself some boundaries. When are you going to read these emails? And then once you've got your final orders, why would you read their emails? And you can explore getting a protection order to stop them from writing to you and things like that as well. But it's not a reason to quit because they're doing it for that reason. And you'll let them win. And it's so hard for us to be telling you this when you're going through it, but I just know we've had so many emails recently, Mum, from people that have said, thank you. Yes. You know, I was going to quit, but you gave me the empowerment to keep going. And they've got through. Got through and they can't believe it. Yes. So now when people write to me, sometimes I say, I'm looking forward to your email in 6 months when you tell me it's all done.
Yes, and that's true.
Yeah, and I just got an email this morning actually from a member and a listener who said, thank you so much, consent orders are signed. I can't believe it's finally done. Yeah. So, you know, it does happen. You can get through it. And these people thought they never could.
Yeah, that's right.
But I guarantee you, their future selves, when they're sitting in front of the fire having a cup of tea in 20 years' time, the kids have all grown up and they've got somewhere to live and they're happy, they're going to look back and go, I'm so glad I did that.
It was worth it. Yeah, it was worth it.
So it will end, Mum, because you don't have any clients from 20 years ago, do you?
No, I don't. I do know people who are still bitter about a separation 20, 30 years ago, even 40 years ago, believe it or not. But they're just being bitter by themselves. It has no impact on their exes. So I've got a cushion quote.
Oh, yes.
I've got a cushion. I have said this to a lot of people, and I want it on the cushion. And it says, I say, they only win if they make you bitter. Because if you can walk through this and out the other side properly having left that all behind, then you will have an amazing life. I mean, yes, it's taking a year or two to get out, you know, but don't be bitter though.
No.
And sometimes that might be a consequence of giving up.
Yeah.
So try not to do anything that would make you feel bad about it all in 10, 20 years' time.
Yeah. So just to recap, small steps add up. So you don't need to solve everything at once. Go break stuff down. Rest is essential. You're not weak and you're not quitting if you have a break. Find some ways to get some pauses. Your past proves your resilience. So you've done hard things already. Go and make yourself a done list. Stay true to your values. It keeps you grounded, okay? And it will help you when you really need to dig in. Progress isn't always visible, all right? But it's happening even in the quiet moments during divorce, whether it's a mindset shift from your ex, going through the grieving process, or it's you doing some work every day, it's happening. You are doing better than you think. Everybody thinks they're doing bad when they go through divorce. Everybody. And it's temporary, okay? It is going to pass. You are going to be sitting by a fire in 20 years. You're not even going to remember who we are. You're not going to remember the Divorce Course podcast.
Oh.
So I hope.
Yes.
So those are the things that you need to kind of remind yourself. And I don't know if you're you like journaling or any kind of thing, or if you do want to embroider a cushion, have a little think and write some stuff down and really get to the nitty-gritty of why you're feeling like giving up and what you can do to help get yourself a little bit further forwards in the divorce journey. Now, Mum, last week we did the BATNA episode where we learned about best case scenarios and worst case scenarios, and we had a little worksheet. Anybody who was subscribed to our email got that downloadable PDF in our email. So today I'm actually going to be sending out to anybody subscribed to our email. They're going to get a little worksheet based off this. So it's going to be something that you can use if you feel like you just want to throw in the towel when it comes to your divorce process. Check this out. Make sure you subscribe to us. So go to our website and subscribe to our email list, and then we will be able to give you for free one of these downloadables that goes with today's episode.
Lovely. And don't forget to subscribe or at least like our videos so anyone who hasn't found us yet and is going through this alone will be able to learn about what's going on. You know, Rosie, the one thing, a former procrastinator or a person, who gets overwhelmed, if you can't take the first step in your baby steps that you've written down, then make it an even smaller first step. Make it even that you will clean your computer desk off and get ready, or that you will tag the Family Court website if you need to. or if you're going through our modules, that at least you set it up. You don't have to do anything. Do it for 5 minutes. But I find if I'm stuck, I just break it down to even smaller steps.
Yeah.
So there you go, from a champion procrastinator.
Or buy yourself a pop after you've done something, or, those Labubu things or whatever they are.
Or go op shopping.
They scare me. Or go op shopping. Yeah, set yourself a reward up. But look, guys, biggest hugs to you. If you are listening to this episode, we know you are struggling. We've been there. We've all been there. Mum's been there. I've been there. We've all wanted to give up. We've all seen the mountain of work that we have to do, or the amount of drama we have to get through, all the changes in your life that you have to deal with. We understand, and there are many people now who have gotten through the other side, and you can too. And I hope today has somehow helped. I know it's not a proper legal episode, but I get messages from people all the time that feel like giving up, and it makes me want to reach in to through your headphones and say, you're going to be okay, guys. You're going to get through this, I promise. And the family court system in Australia, at least, is really sorting itself out and getting a better understanding of post-separation abuse, coercive control, family violence,
best
financial
of the
abuse.
Children. Yep.
Yes, best interest of the children. Things are looking up. Yep. So please don't give up, and please keep trying, and go and download the worksheet from the email that you'll get sent out and have a go, just to give yourself that pep up. And thank you, Mum, again for your time.
No worries,
and we will
darling.
see you back next week, guys, for a normal episode.
Bye, Rosie. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Mum. Thanks, Mum.
Bye.
If you found this podcast helpful, we'd love it if you could rate, review and subscribe. By doing so, you are spreading the word to help someone else just like you. Lynn would like to remind you that this podcast is general advice only, and you should always get legal advice in relation to your particular situation. And remember that the Australian laws may have changed since recording